Confession is the first step to healing. Speak your truth. Free your soul. Don't forget to hit subscribe to Tears and Truth for more raw, real stories that touch the heart. The story begins. It was a cold November evening when I finally faced the truth. The person who had shattered me wasn't some stranger, but the one I had loved the most. This is how I forgave them. The rain hammered against the window of my tiny apartment as I stared at my phone, rereading the text for the 100th time. I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry. 6 words. That's all it took for my world to collapse. Jake had been my best friend since freshman year of college. We did everything together, late-night study sessions, road trips, even surviving breakups. He was the one person I trusted completely. Until he wasn't. 3 days after that text, I found out he had been seeing my ex-girlfriend, Sarah, behind my back. The same Sarah who had cheated on me months before. The betrayal cut deeper than any knife ever could. For weeks, I drowned in anger. I deleted his number, burned the concert tickets we'd bought together, and told everyone who'd listen what a backstabbing liar he was. But the rage didn't heal me. It just made the wound fester. Then one night, my little sister, Mia, looked at me and said, "You're not you anymore." That's when I realized I wasn't just hurting. I was letting him keep hurting me. But forgiveness? That felt impossible. Months passed, and Jake and I existed in the same city like ghosts haunting each other's periphery. Mutual friends tiptoed around us, afraid to even say his name in my presence. I told myself I was moving on. I dated someone new, threw myself into work, even started therapy. But every time I scrolled past a photo of him on social media, my stomach twisted. Then, on a random Tuesday, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Hey, it's Jake. Can we talk?" My hands shook so hard I nearly dropped my coffee. Talk? After 8 months of silence? After what he did? I wanted to scream. I wanted to type out a novel's worth of curses. Instead, I did something worse. I replied, "Why now?" His response took 5 agonizing minutes. "Because I miss you, and I need to apologize. Face to face." I shouldn't have said yes, but part of me, the part that still remembered how he'd been my person, needed to hear it. So, against every instinct screaming no, I agreed to meet him. The diner we chose was the same one where we'd celebrated after graduation, back when the future felt limitless. Now, the vinyl booth creaked under the weight of everything unsaid. When he walked in, he looked different, thinner, tired, his usual cocky grin replaced by something hesitant. "Hey," he said, sliding into the seat across from me. I didn't return the greeting. "Say what you need to say," he exhaled, staring at his hands. I was jealous. Sarah was just a way to prove I could have what you had. It was never about her. It was about me hating that you were always the better guy. The admission hit like a punch. Jealous? All this pain, just because he felt small. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to cry. Instead, I sat there, silent, as he kept going. How ashamed he'd been. How he'd started therapy too. How losing me had been the wake-up call he needed. And then, the words I never expected. "I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'm asking for it anyway." The check arrived. I threw cash on the table and stood. "I need time." His face fell, but he nodded. I walked out, my heart racing. For the first time, I didn't feel angry. I just felt tired. For weeks after the diner, Jake's words echoed in my head. "I don't deserve your forgiveness." He was right, he didn't. But what did I deserve? To carry this weight forever. I threw myself into distractions, dating apps, overtime at work, even half-hearted attempts at meditation. But no matter how busy I stayed, the question lingered. Could I really let this go? Then, on a humid July night, I got the call that IT was Mia, her voice frantic. "There's been an accident. Jake's in the hospital." My stomach dropped. "Is he?" "He's alive. she said quickly. But it's bad. His mom said he's been asking for you. I hung up, hands trembling. This wasn't supposed to happen. We were supposed to have time. Time for me to decide if I could forgive him. Time for him to prove he'd changed. Not this. The hospital smelled like antiseptic and dread. Jake's mom, Linda, looked decades older when she rushed to me in the waiting room. "Thank you for coming," she whispered, pulling me into a hug. I stiffened. This was the woman who'd baked me birthday cakes, who'd called me her second son. Now her tears soaked my shirt. "What happened?" I asked. "Drunk driver," she said, her voice breaking. "Jake was on his motorcycle." The doctor cut in before she could finish. Jake had a collapsed lung, 3 broken ribs, and a head injury. "He's stable, but we're monitoring for swelling in the brain," he said. Then the worst part. "He's been in and out of consciousness. But when he's awake, he keeps saying your name." Linda squeezed my hand. "Please, just see him, even if it's just this once." I wanted to say no. I should have said no. But I followed her down the hall, my pulse roaring in my ears. The machines beeped like a countdown as I stepped into the room. Jake looked smaller in the hospital bed, his face bruised, his arm in a cast. But when his eyes fluttered open, they were the same, dark brown, guilty, achingly familiar. "You came," he croaked that I crossed my arms, defensive. "Don't make it a thing." He tried to smile. "Wouldn't dream of it." Silence. Then, with effort, he spoke again. "If I don't wake up later, I need you to know I'm sorry. Not just for Sarah. For everything." Something inside me cracked. "Stop talking like you're dying." I snapped. "I mean it," he said. "You were my brother." And the heart monitor spiked as he winced in pain. A nurse rushed in, shooing me out. "He needs rest," she said firmly that I stood in the hallway, shaking. All this time, I'd thought forgiveness was about him. But as I stared through the glass at his broken body, I realized I didn't want him to die hating myself for never trying. Truth isn't pretty, but it's the only thing that heals. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The doctors said Jake would recover, but slowly. Broken bones mend faster than trust. I didn't plan to visit him again. But 3 days after the accident, I found myself standing outside his hospital room holding 2 cups of terrible vending machine coffee. Just like we used to drink during all-night study sessions. He was awake, staring blankly at a basketball game on the muted TV. When he saw me, his face did something complicated. Hope and shame and disbelief all at once. "You're back," he said. "Don't get used to it." I lied, handing him a cup. We sat in silence for what felt like hours, just listening to the rhythmic beep of monitors. Finally, Jake spoke, his voice raw. "Remember when you failed that chemistry midterm sophomore year? And I stayed up with you all week reteaching you stoichiometry." I snorted. "You just wanted an excuse to order Chinese food at 3 a.m. "Yeah," he admitted, grinning. Then softer. "But I also couldn't stand seeing you hurt." Funny how that works. The air between us shifted. This wasn't just about apologies anymore. It was about remembering who we'd been before the fracture. Over the next month, I kept visiting. At first, it was just awkward small talk and hospital gossip. Then one rainy afternoon, Jake looked at me and said, "Tell me what you need from me."
No excuses. No defensiveness.
Just an open door, so I walked through it. "I need to know why it was Sarah," I said, the question that had haunted me for a year finally unleashed. "Of all people, why her?" Jake closed his eyes. "Because she was yours, and part of me hated that you could love someone that deeply and I couldn't." His voice broke. "My dad left when I was 12. I didn't know how to do that, how to love without destroying things." The confession hung between us, ugly and true. For the first time, I saw the wound behind his betrayal. Not an excuse, but an explanation. I didn't say, "I forgive you," that day. But when I handed him the remote and said, "Your taste in movies still sucks," As I put on his favorite terrible action flick, something unclenched in my chest. Jake's physical therapy lasted 6 months. Our friendship's rehab took longer. There were setbacks. Times I'd catch him glancing at his phone when Sarah's name popped up. Moments when old anger bubbled up unexpectedly. But we kept showing up. Then one evening, as we sat on his porch watching fireflies, he turned to me. "Do you think we'll ever be the same?" I thought about it. About how he'd become someone who texted, "Call me when you get home safe," after nights out. How I'd learned to say, "That hurt me," instead of slamming doors. "No," I said finally, "we'll be better." And that's when I realized forgiveness wasn't a moment. It was a daily choice. Some days I chose it fully. Other days, I faked it till my heart caught up. But every time I chose it, the weight lifted a little more. The night before his final doctor's clearance, Jake handed me an envelope. Inside was a ticket to the concert we'd missed the year everything fell apart, the one whose tickets I'd burned. "No expectations," he said. "Just an option." When I showed up at the venue, he didn't make a big speech. He just hugged me tight and whispered, "Thank you," into my shoulder. As the first chords played, I understood. Forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's about deciding that some bonds are worth holding on to, even if they'll never look quite the same. And that's the hardest, truest piece of all. Final words. The deepest wounds often come from those closest to us, but so can the deepest healing. If this story resonated with you, smash that subscribe button on Tears and Truth for more raw journeys of redemption. Drop a comment below. Have you ever forgiven someone who broke your trust?